Hi guys! So today I wanted to do a little bit of a different video. I've seen a few of these on YouTube as of recently, but I wanted to do one anyway. Once it got to the new year, I decided I was going to film this video, and it's now February, so I thought I'd best get on with it. As you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about how I got into debt. So I'm 25 years old and I am in about £7,500 worth of debt. It's manageable amounts of debt. It's not crippling me. I'm not going to have the bailiffs at my door, nothing like that. It's nothing too serious, but it is a huge chunk of money that I didn't really need and I'm now want to get rid of. So I have a little list here, so if I keep looking down, that's why, because I wanted to kind of talk through it chronologically, how I got into this kind of debt. I think it's something very common, especially people like me who went to university, to have debt once you've started your new job and you find your own first flat. You end up in quite a bit of debt unless you've got a lot of help from your family, which I actually do have, but I try not to ask. Do you know what I mean? So let's just get into it. So the first thing is my student overdraft. So when I got accepted, when I got my place at uni, I didn't buy anything up until that point because I didn't want to jinx it and start buying stuff and then not get into any of the universities that I'd applied for, because I really struggled with my last year A levels. So I got my acceptance, I think it's about May. It's probably later than that. I think I finished my exams in May. I think it's like June, July you get your acceptance, and then you move in September. So I had deposits to pay on my student accommodation, I had things to buy, and I didn't have any money. Like, my mum helped out a lot, she bought me a lot of things, but it was my responsibility to pay for these things. So I got a student bank account, and with that you get a student overdraft. So the first overdraft that I got was £500, and I used that straight away to pay for my accommodation and to pay for all the stuff that I needed, like when I first moved in. So as soon as I started uni, I was already £500 in debt, and my first year at uni I didn't have a job, so I ended up upping that to £1,000. And then in my second year at uni, I got a job and everything was okay. But then my third year of uni, I upped it again to £1,500, because it's a maximum of £2,500 you can have as a student overdraft. With a student overdraft, while you have it, you don't pay interest, nothing like that, and you're meant to pay it off 3 years after you've graduated. So sounds like a brilliant deal. So yeah, then when I graduated, I decided to start a master's, and I then upped it again to £2,000. So that's where I'm at with my student overdraft. Speaking of masters, I did my first term of my masters and then went back in January to do my second term, and I wasn't enjoying it. It wasn't what I expected the course to be, and I just wanted to go and get a job. So I continued to go to my lectures, but I was looking for a job, and by March I found a job and I dropped out of my masters. But I'd already received my third payment from Student Finance, and I didn't realise that I had to give that back, because I'd already dropped out of uni. I told Student Finance that I was dropping out of uni, but they didn't get the confirmation from the university until like a month after I'd dropped out. So I already received my student finance payment, and I just thought, it's fine, I'll just pay it back along with my normal student finance when I'm earning enough money. That's just how student finance works. If you're in England, you know what I mean. If you're in America, our student finance is through the government, and we sort of pay it off like tax. It comes out of us wage once we're earning enough money. So I just thought that was what was going to happen with that money. And it wasn't until 2 years later they got in contact with me and they were like, look, you had an overpayment from student finance and you really need to start paying that back. Luckily, I just started my first proper real nice paying job, and I set up to start paying that off. But I've actually changed the payments of how much I'm paying on that a few times, like lowering it. because of other debt, which I'll get into. So now, if I keep paying it at the amount I'm paying it at, I have 11 months left to pay it. The last payment will be January 2020. So that's my second lot of debt that I now have. I'm not being charged interest or anything on that, so that's fine. So in between them, so this isn't really gone in chronological, that word, order, but in between them, my job that I got when I dropped out of my masters, it was a really low paying job. I was living with my mum, but I should have been paying off the debt that I had. I was earning enough money to be paying off that debt, but it was my first proper job, and I was buying myself stuff that I wanted and going on holidays. So I didn't save any of that. I didn't pay off my student overdraft. And then my mum moved out. She started running a pub. So I stayed in our family home and I was paying the rent. And I got a roommate. And then that went a little bit tits up, basically. And at the same time, I lost my job. So I moved in with my mum and got a part-time job. I was only doing about 16 hours a week, but it was okay because I was living with my mum, but it definitely wasn't enough money to be paying off my overdraft that I had, and at this point I didn't know about the student finance. So then I think it was March 2018, living with my mum. No, March 2017. No, March 2018, I was living with my mum and I got my first proper good paying job. This is when I found out about the student finance. And I was living with my mum and I was earning enough money to be paying off my student overdraft, but again, I didn't. I was trying to save up to buy a house, but I wasn't doing very well because again, I had all this money that I'd never had before and I wanted to spend it on things that I wanted. I went on a couple of holidays, I think, and I was just spending it on... Do you mind? I am filming a video. I was spending it on stuff that I wanted. But I did start saving a little bit. So I was looking for to either move out and rent or to buy my own house. Buying my own house was what I actually really wanted to do. So I started looking into my credit score and everything like that, which is what you need to do when you're buying a house. And it turns out I had a really bad credit score because I'd never had credit. This is where things start getting really tits up. So I'm like, yeah, I'll get a credit card and just use it for like little things and pay it off every month. And then I got this thing called a drafty account, which works like an overdraft, but kind of like a credit card. So it's sort of in the middle, you pay interest on it, but it works like an overdraft. You can just transfer money to and from. So I had them, and I got into quite a bit of debt with them. Only once I found my flat. Yay! So I love my flat, and I've been living here for almost a year and a half now, and it's the best thing I ever did. But it did get me into a lot of debt. I maxed out my credit card, maxed out my drafty account. So I had to get a second credit card. This credit card was purely for a balance transfer, so I wasn't paying interest on my credit card. So I got a deal with my bank where I could transfer all the money in the credit card that I had into this new credit card, and I won't pay interest on it for 18 months, and I won't pay a transfer fee or anything like that, and it was a really good deal. So I did that. I had nothing on my credit card, but I still had my drafty account, so I started paying that off. And then I got a bonus at work, and I just paid a huge lump off. I paid £500 off. So I only had £565 left in my overdraft. And then the next month, I get an email saying that my account has been frozen because I haven't made a payment. I'm like, I just made a £500 payment. Like, this is a bit weird. So I rang them up, and it turns out it was a mistake on their part. When was this? This was April last year, because I was going to use my drafty account to pay for my money because I went on my sister-in-law now, I went on a hen do last year, so I was going to use that for my spending money. I hadn't saved because I knew I was going to use my Drafty account, and then it got frozen. So yeah, that happened. It's all their fault, and they know it's all their fault, but it's been sent to a debt place, but the debt place knows that it's no need for it to be there, and they're in the process of transferring the account back over to Drafty. But this was April last year, and we're now in February of the following year, and my account is still frozen, but I'm not paying interest on it or anything. I just can't use it. I can't access. I had like £500 that I could use, which I can't use. It's just stuck there. So at the minute, I'm not worrying about my Drafty account. I hope I'm not rambling too much because I feel like I haven't looked at my list in a while and I've got a bit lost. So I started using my credit card again, and around this time I got Madam over here, which you can't see because she literally just walked off camera. And again, I used my credit card to actually get her to pay for her and all the stuff she needed and all the first vet bills, like injections and all that sort of stuff. I used my credit card to do that, so I'm now in my credit card again, as well as having the other credit card which I used to pay off that credit card. So I believe that sums up how I got into this amount of debt. So my student finance overpayment, that comes out of my bank automatically every month. I'm currently paying £92 a month, roughly. It's like £91 something. £92 a month, and that, like I said, that will be paid in January 2021. That will be my last payment. My student overdraft, so all my banking is online, and I tend not to actually look at the messages that they send me, because it usually just says like student account, like summary of the month sort of thing. So I tend not to look at them. But it turns out last year I got a message from them saying that you have a year left of your student account, which I didn't even think, because obviously I told them I did a master's, but that was only meant to be a year. So I thought, after that, after 2 years after that, I didn't hear anything, and I was like, oh well, you know, I have a couple of friends that they've been graduated like 5 years, which is kind of the time I finished uni, and they still have their overdrafts and they've never heard anything, and it's still a student account. But yeah, so they contacted me, and I didn't see the email for 6 months. And I had a couple of big things. There was like Christmas and everything, and I couldn't afford to save towards my overdraft. So we're now in February 2020, and I have February's paycheck, March's paycheck, April's paycheck to pay off £2,000. And then they'll start charging me interest on it, obviously. I'm very lucky. My mum recently came into a bit of money from PPI, so she's going to help me out by giving me £1,000, which I'm paying off her monthly, but I won't pay interest on it. So she's going to give me £1,000, but I need to find another £1,000 in 3 paychecks. So it's going to be really difficult, but I'm hoping by my April paycheck, my balance will be 0, and I can change my account, which is before their deadline. Their deadline's like the middle of May. But I get paid on the last Friday of every month, so I couldn't wait until the last paycheck of May because the count had already been changed. So yeah, that is really stressing me out at the minute. That's the one bit of debt that I'm really worried about. And so that is my main focus. Pay that off by April. And then after that, I have to pay for my holiday, which my mum booked it for Christmas for everyone and said she was going to pay the deposits. But obviously I have to pay for the rest of that. So the next paycheck, which is May, is going to be giving my mum the money for my holiday that we're going on in August. So then I have June, July paychecks to save up my spending money for my holiday. We're going to Greece, so it's not too expensive. and we're only going for a week. So hopefully in 2 paychecks I can save enough money for my spending money. And if I don't have the money. And it's as simple as that, and I'll just have to be careful with how I'm spending it. I'd rather be able to just go and enjoy my time and not have to worry about money. But that just isn't the story of my life. Like, I have to worry about money. After that, I then have a £450 pet deposit that I have to pay. I've had her, it'll be a year in May. I got her in May. So my landlord said I could get a pet, that is perfectly fine, but I have to pay an extra deposit on top of my deposit for any damage that the pet might do to the flat. And that's £450. And I said to him, look, I found the dog that I want. I told him about my Drafty account being frozen. And I said, I will get the money to you as soon as I can. And he was like, that is fine. He knows I'm not going anywhere. I will live here now until I can afford to buy my own house. I love this flat. And he knows I'm not going anywhere, and he likes me as a tenant, so he doesn't intend on kicking me out. So there wasn't a massive rush to pay that, but it's now almost been a year since I had her, and I obviously haven't paid it. So once I've been on my holiday, my August paycheck is my August and what's after August? August and September are going towards my pet deposit and paying that off. And then after that, I'm really going to focus on paying off my credit cards. So I'm going to try and pay off my interest one first, because obviously I'm paying interest on that credit card. And then I have until, again, January next year, until I start paying interest on my other credit card, because that was 18 months, and that's that. So, breakdown of my debt. My overdraft, currently at £2,000. My student finance is currently at £1,012. My pet deposit, £450. My credit card that I'm paying interest on, which is an Aqua credit card, if anybody's interested. I do enjoy having that credit card. It has an app and everything, and you can track everything, and I haven't had any issues with it. It's just my spending. That is the issue with having that credit card. So that is currently at £1,060. My second credit card, which I don't start paying interest on until January next year, is £2,500. And then my Drafty account, which is frozen, and I'm not going to contact them. I'm going to wait until they contact me to say that it's fixed, or until I have some more of my debts paid off. Maybe once both my credit cards are at like £500, and I don't mind having a little bit of credit card debt. Everybody has a little bit of credit card debt, I feel, but it's too much. I hate having that amount at the minute. So maybe once they're at like £500, I'll get back in contact with Drafty, because I rang them like every month for about 4 months, like, is it sorted? Is it sorted? And they couldn't give me a timescale whatsoever. And like I say, it's almost been a year now, and it still hasn't been sorted. But at the minute, I'm quite happy with that, because the account is frozen. I'm not spending on it. I'm not getting interest on it. It's just there. It's £500 that I owe, that I just know nothing's happening to. I'm not paying interest. I can't use it. It's just there. So I'm going to wait until everything else is sorted, unless they contact me and say, we've sorted it now and you're starting to pay interest. So then I'd pay that as soon as I could. So that is all my debt. And that is my plan on how I'm going to get out of debt. And I just sort of wanted to make this video because it's something people don't really talk about. Especially like where I'm from, people don't really make a lot of money up in my town. Like, it's not a rich person's town. Like, it's working class and middle class, nothing really above middle class. If you were earning enough to be above middle class, you wouldn't live in my town, basically. So people don't really talk about money. It's a very sensitive subject, because people, if they have a little bit more than other people, they don't really like to talk about it. And obviously people that don't have much money don't really like to talk about not having much money. So I feel like debt is a very taboo subject. People don't really talk about it, but it's nothing to be embarrassed about, and it's something that everybody kind of has, and you just need to control it a little bit and just stay on top of it. And that's kind of why I wanted to make this video, because I know a lot of people of my age, especially people that went to university, like I said, you're gonna be in a bit of debt. Like, never mind my student loans and stuff, which haven't started paying off yet and are incurring like £1,000 worth of interest every year. Well, thousands of pounds worth of interest every year, should I say. But again, I don't worry about that because that just comes out of my, well, it will eventually come out of my wage like a tax once I start earning enough money. And there's nothing I can do about that. It's my individual debt that I can pay off that I'm worried about. But like I said, everybody's going to be in a bit of debt. So, a little bit of a rambly, random video today. But yeah, that is my debt. That is my plan. And I hope you guys like this video. Any comments down below, any tips of apps or saving tips or anything like that would be really appreciated, because I'm kind of rubbish with money. I think it's from growing up with not really having much money. My mum always got us whatever she could, whatever we needed, and if she could get it and we wanted it, she'd get it. But we weren't a wealthy family growing up. She's doing a lot better now, but now obviously I'm an adult, and that's why she's not paying for me and my brother anymore, and I'm an adult and I have to pay my own way. I don't go asking my mum for money or my dad for money all the time. So again, I'm rambling. I'm gonna end this video. But yeah, comment down below if you want to about your debt, or if you have any tips for me. And yeah, like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.